Yes, we may have a lawsuit. We may have a lawsuit today. Not purposely. I'm not having a lawsuit, not at all. But I am getting quite the laugh out of watching people call her Jokey Joy and other things. It has been a weird couple of. We're going to recap real quick what's been going on in that world because I've just been sitting back laughing, watching. I had to ask how she even found them. Somebody pointed out, and I went in, I looked at Reddit. Reddit's Fundy Snark had started talking about Miranda and her parents and her sister. And that is where she got her information to even start. Hey, Jan. So I just kind of laughed. She took some information that was maybe not good. I mean, I've read through all the same things she has, and it just looks like it's a parent and a child who are maybe not happy at all about what the other child has done, and have harassed her so much that she has cut off all contact. She went no contact. And it's a good thing to go non contact with your family if they're abusive. There are certain family members I've had to go non contact with because I would have had a nervous breakdown otherwise. Hey, Christine. So that is what I think is going on here. It's a family squabble. She needs to stay out of it. We don't need to be stirring in anybody's family squabbles. And you add what she's done in there, the stuff she likes, and it's pretty ridiculous. I mean, let's look at this. It's a squabble between a set of parents and a child. And the other child, Miranda's sister and her used to dance together all the time with these TikTok videos. They had millions of hits. And then suddenly Miranda up and marries someone of another race, even. So, the parents probably weren't thrilled about that. They weren't thrilled that all the money they invested in promoting and training their daughters, one daughter rejected. So I wish them all well. I hope they manage to iron out the problems between them because that's an uncomfortable place to be as a parent and as a child. It just is. We all want our families to work out. We want our parents, our siblings, everybody to work out. But since we know that without a crystal ball's Katie Joy loves to stir the pot. She loves anything that she can call the CULT word. And so she's fixated on the 7M, Seven Mountain Mandate, Seven Mountain Manifesto, however you want to term it. I've heard it called that. I've heard it called other things. So Miranda is dancing with her husband and others in 7M productions and videos. And KJ is making all these claims about 7M that she doesn't clearly understand at all what the manifesto is, what they are trying to do. She just doesn't get it. So she doesn't get it. She's making stuff up again. She's really going beyond this time. I hope they put a stop to her. Christine, I have to say this morning when I got online and started seeing a lot of people were talking about it. And I saw last night too. Let me pull this up. She got a mention in the Rolling Stone and the Sun. And then she turned around about this whole thing and tried to say that neither one of them had journalists. The Sun is literally a freaking newspaper. Of course they have journalists. And she said the Rolling Stone doesn't have journalists. The Rolling Stone has earned journalistic awards for some of their coverage of different things. Like the coverage of Ted Bundy, I think, was pretty early on and important. So she's barking up the wrong tree. Both of those publications are actually real publications with real journalists that did not hold a degree in Spanish. They hold real journalism degrees, have been through journalistic ethics classes, all of that. So she's trying to claim again that she's a reporter slash journalist. And I have to bust that. She started calling herself a reporter journalist because Pathos told us all to rebrand ourselves When Pathos changed hands, they wanted everybody to have a new name. They didn't want us to call ourselves bloggers any longer. And that's what we really were, was bloggers, writing opinion pieces about whatever was in our wheelhouse. I called myself a daily columnist based on their suggestions. She decided to call herself a reporter / journalist. So that's where it came from. She doesn't have any journalism experience or degree or anything. But because Pathio said, hey, rename yourself, she decided to rename herself as a journalist. I'm really not sure why. So, and she actually told me at the time, and I didn't say anything. I didn't say, oh, that's tacky. I was just like, whatever. And so that's how we get Jokey Joe, Jokey Joy, as people say. So that's what she did. What's the difference between a reporter and journalist? I think that the difference is let me see if I can explain this. One of the places that I have written, that my husband has written, was our local newspaper when we lived in Virginia. Okay. I did not write under my own name. I had a pen name I was using at the time. My husband used his real name. Neither one of us are experienced in journalism, but we've both written articles for the local newspaper. And that's more like a reporter. You go in, you see what's going on, and then you report on it. My husband was reporting for a while on minor league football, because we had a little minor league football team in our town that was, let me see, what's a polite way to term this? They were ridiculous because one time there was fights. That was the craziest thing. They were playing some other team from some other little podunk little town that had their own minor league football team. And at the end of the game, the teams came out and started really fighting, like sending people to the hospital fighting. And my husband was like very unthrilled with that, because that's not what he signed up for, was to referee a fight or look at it. So that's what a reporter does. And if I was writing about something like, one time I was writing about what was going on in schools. You do your research, you write your article, you may not have a journalism degree, but they make you go through an ethics class and various things to do that. Now, a journalist is somebody that holds an actual journalism degree most of the time, or else they have years and years and years of experience at it. Used to be, in the olden days, you could just call yourself that and start working in a newspaper or whatever. That's not what you have to do now to call yourself a journalist. And you have to be working for a legitimate place. Pathos is not legitimate enough. They write opinion pieces. It's all opinion pieces. So they're not really what I would call something that would make you be able to say, I'm a journalist. I'm a journalist. Nothing at all like that. So she's not a journalist. At best, you might be able to call her a reporter. But considering she puts opinions in on all of her pieces, and it's not facts, it's opinions. Because I'm watching her calling 7M a CULT, and the church involved with 7M is CULT, Shekinah Church. And I'm thinking, yeah, girl, you don't know what you're talking about. She just sees this one, anything she doesn't understand, and calls it the CULT. I don't understand why you would do that, but that's what she did. So now there's a somebody I'm friends with on Twitter. I'm looking to see what their name is, because they without a crystal balls. Yeah. BALLZ at the end. They were laughing over the fact that the Rolling Stone article called Katie Pleasure instead of Katie Joy, which really made me laugh, because that's a pretty big error for Rolling Stone to make. And Rolling Stone actually has real journalists that research their stuff. And so I'm really shocked that they would do that, unless they were doing it as a slam. Hey, Ollie. So we don't really know for sure what's going on there, except that I will say, without a crystal balls with the Z, is connected somehow to the dancers and to the church and everything. And they said that lawyers have been involved and that there's been contact, and said, and that is why without a box of Kleenex has been acting like her most unbalanced this week, because there's been contact. I have been waiting for that moment, because you can't say things that are defamation, clear defamation, and keep getting away with it. I just don't get. I don't get it. Slander, libel. She's really makes her sound like a stripper. Yes, it does, Katie Pleasure. I may have to start calling her that. I like to call her without a box of Kleenex because of her wiping her nose on her blanket. I got an itchy nose too, Katie Joy, an itchy runny one, but she's always rubbing her nose on her blanket and just very gross things that most people with regular hygiene would not even think about doing. So that's her. So this account that is connected with 7M and Shekinah and some of the other and the dancers is saying that there was contact this week between their lawyers and I guess her lawyer Lionel Hutz. I don't know. So I'm kind of waiting to see. You know that she ignores cease and desist. Tati Westbrook sent her 4. And that's kind of the thing in the writing game. Most people will ignore at least one and then maybe stop and look at it once you get the second one. That's how I am. That's how I was when I was writing for Pathos. And I'm not doing anything now that anybody could consider defaming. I try not to. And just saying allegedly at the end is not good enough. Like I said, I don't know what's happening on any of this, but I do know it sounds like a squabble between parents and one child and the other children. The problem is she's gotten away with her bad behavior for so long. At this point, she thinks she's untouchable. She really does. She really thinks she's untouchable, and it's going to be a hard crash. And part of me is kind of afraid of that because, hey, Lexi, part of me is sort of afraid of that because I think that a threatened KJ is a toxic KJ. It's when she goes her most nuts. And the other part with that is we were sort of friendly. So I kind of hate to see her lose everything. And with her children, I'm sorry, I've been playing with my hair and doing all kinds of styles to see what I'm going to do for the wedding. My daughter's getting married. She also says they're into sex trafficking. She's crazy. There is no trafficking going on in that situation at all. Dirty Uncle Sal, I think I love you. Missing socks. Well, she makes me laugh because she's always like tugging on her hair like it's long. I cut 6 inches off mine and it's looped back up, so it's a lot longer. But girl, your hair is not long. Stop trying to pretend it is and tugging on it like that. It's not going to make it grow. You may pull it out. So she's super hypercritical about everything. She's accusing these people of sex trafficking. She's accusing the church of it. She's accusing the pastor, his wife, his son, his cousin's bulldog 3 times removed of these things. And it's just head-shakingly bizarre. So now the Sun has got in on the action, and so has Rolling Stone, and they picked up falsehoods from her. So I'm kind of just sitting back and seeing what happens next, because we all know she ignores restraining orders, even though you probably shouldn't always ignore them. I have complied with 2 out of probably the 40 or 50 I got when I was at Pathos. One because my lawyers read it and said, this person is crazy. They may actually physically do you some harm. So I would comply if I were you. So I complied with that one. And the other one was somebody that I semi-doxed. I gave out his real name. biblical gender roles. I know his real name and all his information. I didn't dig it up. Somebody else did. I checked it out. It actually was him. And he flipped out and said he was going to sue me. So I was very careful how I did that. This is kind of devious, but this guy is such a pimple on the ass of humanity to everybody that, I mean, he says stuff like rape your wife, have sex with your wife if she didn't force her to have sex, and then don't look at her crying face while you're having sex with her. And he's talked about controlling his wife via money, withholding her pain pills, all kinds of crazy things. So that's the docs I don't feel sorry for at all. And I didn't release any information about where he lived, the church he went to, or any of the information I had about his daughters. And so this guy was pretty awful. So all I did was expose his real name, and he flipped out and threatened to. So I did it kind of in devious fashion. I posted it Friday night when I knew nobody would be in the Pathos office Saturday and Sunday. And Monday morning, they sent me a message and said, "Look, you got to take this down. This guy could sue." And I just kind of laughed and took it down because I knew that that was coming, but I made sure everybody who needed to know what this guy's name was had the information, because he did send quite a few threatening emails to people and behave in a just completely asinine and illegal way. But back to KJ, let me read this comment. The things she accuses people of make me wonder what is happening with her mentally, chemically. It's really concerning, especially with V in the house with her. Dirty Uncle Sal, I think about that a lot. I mean, I barely recognize her from the person I knew, because the person I knew was very concerned with V, to the point where early on in our relationship, she kept messaging me from the hospital while I was having surgery because she was flipping out and nerves. And I don't blame her, because it was open heart surgery. It was serious surgery, but he needed it because he was turning blue from lack of oxygen. So she was freaking out about that and acting like a normal mom. So I don't know what switch got flipped in her head to turn her from regular mom to celebrity journalist who never has anything to do with poor Vaughn. Yeah, and I said his name. I said his name, box of Kleenex, without a box of Kleenex. So sue me. So back to this whole crazy story. Now they've retained an attorney. She tends to ignore cease and desist. I'm sure there's been one that has gone out and she's still continuing to double down. I would not be surprised if we don't see another defamation suit coming. I would not be surprised at all. And supposedly the group has also contacted Rolling Stone and The Sun and whoever else has written about this because of the false information that they're getting from KJ. The look she gets on her face when she talks about him, too, it's sad. She seems to get, I'm going to say it, I'm just going to say it, she seems to get aroused when she's talking about what she perceives as a CULT. When she thinks that this is a CULT, she's decided this without using the bite model to figure out for sure if that's a CULT. And when she can talk about trafficking, she can talk about the worst of the worst of the worst to the worst. She seems to get really excited about it in a bizarre, almost sexual way. I think it's just weird. Just like, she's scaring me. When I see those clips, I'm just like, oh my gosh. She gets giddy. Yeah, she does, Amy. I have to wonder how Todd can't see she's spiraling. The only thing I can think, Christine, is how if you're used to something and it starts getting worse, you don't really see it. That's kind of where I think Todd is with this. And I don't know, Todd, whatever you want to call him, very well. I was admitting a couple of Pathos Facebook groups. I was behind the scenes being a moderator at a few. And Todd came into one of them and started posting laughing emojis behind anything I said, serious or otherwise. And I just said, "Are you done now?" And he got smart with me, so I banned him. He is habituated to her behavior at this point, like a cult member. Exactly, dirty Uncle Sal. He is her cult member, her CULT member. He really is. He's in there. Hey, Ragenhild. Oh, Norway. You're in Norway. That's cool. I'm here in Costa Rica. So we're doing the international thing today. And I have guests here. So it's pretty interesting. I had to do 50 trillion towels today. Um, Laundry, so that's how it is with her. She claims to be a journalist. Yes, she's not a journalist. I keep telling this story about Patheos told us all to rebrand ourselves and not call ourselves bloggers any longer. I named myself Daily Columnist, which was one of her suggestions. She decided, oh, I'm a journalist. So that's why she calls herself a journalist, because of Patheos. Her Kool-Aid is stronger than an Applewhite's. Absolutely. Even if I haven't heard her give the instructions, put a roll of nickels in your, or was it quarters, a roll of coins in your pocket, Nike's on, and drink the strychnine or whatever it was they used to kill themselves. I haven't seen her do that yet. She's making him so much money. Why would he complain? I think that that's why one of the reasons that he's not trying to stop her is because he's habituated to what she's doing. There's lots of money coming in, even though I don't think it's quite as much as she's bragging. I don't think she has enough money from her gig to buy 2 Bentleys, regardless of what she's saying. It does appear that she wears the pants. I saw him on one of her videos, and she spoke to him like Kate Gosselin used to speak to John. Christine, I don't think they have much of a relationship, just because she's brags about being joyfully unavailable and saying they hadn't had sex in years. And I find that really weird, to have a marriage like that where there's not any of that going on. Even if I'm not in favor of doing it the biblical gender roles way, where the husband just overpowers the wife and takes it when he wants. Arsenic, Nike, and pocket coins for jingling. Yep, that's it. That's it. So that's what's going on. And I think that as time is going on, and more people have sued her, and she settled with Tati and weaseled out of that by giving up Clark Swanson. And it's kind of funny because they could have called me as a witness, because she told me about being in contact with Swanson and getting information from him. So that was something that happened. She did say that early on. So Swanson was giving her information, bad information. But that's the problem. She doesn't vet any of her sources. She runs with everything. I mean, just look at her Duggar coverage. She was crying almost over her son's medicine not being covered, but she can buy 2 Bentleys. The medicine was supposedly $5,000. She didn't want to pay it. Lexi, I remember that. And that's not the first time she's pulled that nonsense. She's done that before. She has done fundraisers over that, and it's just ridiculous. Sometimes medicine is expensive. It is here. Well, let me rephrase. It's not that expensive here, but it still comes out of your pocket before the insurance company reimburses you. So if you have an expensive prescription, hey, Sarah, then you might be out of pocket. I just filed all of my insurances for the last year, and with my hospital one, it's like $10,000. And I didn't realize that it had risen to that much. So Swanson gets his way. Her settlement with Tati is moot, and her is gonna be handed to her roasted. I believe that's what's going to happen. And keep in mind that Swanson may sue her. He may sue her for giving him up to Tati. And in the States, you can sue anybody for any dumb thing. It doesn't mean you'll win, doesn't mean you'll even get a court date, but you can try. Julie Juice tried to sue her for defamation in small claims court. And of course, it was thrown out because Jilly Juice is in Ohio. She is in Minnesota. And you can't sue somebody in small claims court for defamation. It just doesn't work. The mentality of her subs is also increasing in aggression and anger. Jan, I would say that too. And I would say there's a subtype of her viewers. They tend not to be educated. They tend to be stay-at-home moms who maybe are not the most sophisticated people in the world. Yeah. Ragged Hill, do you know what I do? I watch the clips that Llama Girl publishes because I don't want to see everything, but I do want to see the more embarrassing, horrible things. I wonder how she reacted to being called Katie Pleasure by Rolling Stone, except for saying that Rolling Stone are no journalists. With the repeated lawsuits, shouldn't she be considered a legal liability for YouTube? Does it violate terms of service? And shouldn't she be platform? Supergirl, you would certainly think so. You know, they're funny about how they apply terms of service, and their new terms of service, we can't really do some of the stuff that in the past was perfectly fine. Think about how far into the hole of all these lawsuits could put her if they're all successful. Yeah, Dirty Uncle Sal should lose that house. I mean, and that would be tragic because Toad is as awful as he can be, and the son would lose a place to live. And I would rather not see anything happen to Todd and V. I would just rather see them. I live in the house. And that's another thing I want to tell you guys about that she's lied about. And I saw proof yesterday. The one point in Pathos, they told everybody to check your homeowner's insurance and make sure that you can have a rider put on there that prevents your house being seized if somebody sues you for defamation. I went in and talked to my insurance guy and took care of that right away. I talked to her about it and she said, I don't have to do that. The house is in my father-in-law's name. Somebody pulled up tax records on the house the other day and they look legitimate. And guess what? That house is in her name and in the name of Toad. So if anything happens, that house and her bank account are on the line. And that's really stupid. Oh, hey, Lauren Elizabeth. Oh, thank you. Thank you. It's first day of spring. It's just another hot day here. The bankruptcy would span so far. Yeah, they'd be paying. It's tragic she can't or won't see what she's doing to her family. She's probably planning a bankruptcy scam. That's possible too. But I don't get it. If your job causes you to be sued left and right for defamation, you should probably consider a career in another field. Go back to working at a call center and pretending you're a bigwig. I mean, we've all had those jobs like that we don't like, and we do it because we need money. I mean, I worked 4 years for a call center when I could no longer get a job in the area that I was actually trained in. It took me a while because I had a length of time where I was working for a physician in Virginia and a large clinic group, and I got into it with the head doctor because I developed really bad asthma, and he tried to say I was faking it. So after I left, after some drama, every time I put down that I had worked there, had worked there years, they would give me a bad review. They would say all these different things, and I actually tried to sue at one point, and I could have, except that because it was an EEOC violation and an ADA violation, what went down. And I had to decide, do I want to live with those people in my head for the 18 months or so it would take for the trial to wind around? I finally had to say no. Being out of the situation is payment enough. I've already lodged a complaint at other places. So there, I had to leave it. That's why it frustrates me. She will not do that. She won't try to settle anything. Yeah, you change your tactics. You absolutely do when you run into something like that. Why does she add so many hashtags in her video? Is it beneficial? Yes, Jan, it gets you major hits. I'm not always the best at it. I do it sometimes where I remember. She does it all the time. And that gets you more viewers if you do that because they'll be searching for something and you'll pop up. And because she has a lot of viewers, she's pretty high up in the rankings when you search for certain things. Even though her and I have always talked about the same things, I talk about them from a common sense point of view. She extrapolates. I'm just going to say that. She extrapolates. So, especially about the Duggars. And it's tragic because she got some of her Duggar information from me. And instead of saying, okay, this is true, she's like, this is true over here. So she's always doing that. And I'm always kind of disgusted. So she's getting more views that way. If Minnesota is a homeschool state, could she protect her house? I don't think so, Scorpio Joe. I don't think so. I saw a clip today with Miranda bluntly telling KJ to back off and stop bugging her. How can she ignore that? Well, she did. And here's the other interesting thing about that. She took that video and there was a guy just walking around in the background, and she decided the narrative would be that he was a CULT member from Shekinah Church or 7M, and that this guy was like monitoring her to make sure she said the right things in the video. And I've looked at the clip of her saying those things many times and said, huh? Because that guy does not seem like he's some kind of menacing thug in the background. He seems like he's just some random person walking around. So there's that. So she's trying to throw, she's trying to video and trying to say that it's just more evidence of a CULT, even though it's no evidence of anything, none at all. So we'll see. The parents are no longer talking to her. Neither is the sister. Her narcissism is too pervasive for her to compromise on lawsuits or admit she's wrong. And I find that crazy because, like I said, there are times when you back off and you do what they're requesting. I have twice. But the other stuff, like I got one the other day, somebody said, I'm going to sue you because you used a picture of my kid. I said, Apathy, I said, I blurred out your kid's face. There's no link to your name or the kid's name. It came off of Facebook, which you can't sue over photographs on Facebook because they're considered owned by Facebook, not you. And I said, I don't write for Pathos anymore, and I don't even know who to contact to ask them to take that down. This is a you problem, not a me problem. So that's the thing with her. She has, and the funny thing is she loves to talk about narcissists. She's talked about narcissism a number of times on her channel. She's posted videos, and she seems to be completely acluistic about who it is that is a narcissist. She doesn't understand that she herself has at least a few of the things she's talking about. And the other problem with that is, all those armchair head shrinkers, and I admit I'm guilty of it sometimes too. Kay Tibbetts, I know who you are. And I know you're a KJ supporter. So I'm going to talk about this every now and then, whether you like it or not. KJ, I knew her pretty well, and she has told so many lies about that time. She's told so many lies at her reporting. She calls herself a journalist. I know how all of that started. Hey, guess what? I think that you probably need to go away. I am awful. Well, thank you for that. I know when somebody says I'm awful, that they're just upset with something stupid. I don't know. I try not to talk about her until she does crazy stuff like right now. And I wouldn't be talking about her at all this morning, but there is some talk of a possibility of another lawsuit, and I find that to be just pretty awful. And I can testify to some of the stuff that she's claiming. I was supposed to in the Tati lawsuit. So that's the thing that really blows my mind about her. So many people are supporting her. And yeah, I do my own content sometimes. I'm actually going to do another Costa Rican video in a few minutes after I get off of this because I would rather do that content, but I want the freedom to be able to talk about her when things happen. I tried for a long time not to talk about her, and she was busy running a fake narrative on myself. Yep, she definitely is. She probably is lurking. She has a ton of sock puppets, and I can testify to that too because every time that she would come along and I'd block her. I had times when I blocked her because I was busy. I was busy with real life. I was busy with various things here in Costa Rica. And she would pop up and just overwhelm me. And I would turn around and block her for a while. And every time I did that, she came back with a new version of her name on Facebook. At last count, I think it was like 14 or 15 different accounts she had at that time. She does it on Facebook. She does it, I think she probably does it on Twitter and on YouTube. Exactly. And that's exactly how it is. And you can fight me all day. I'll just tune you out, which is exactly what I did there. And it's funny when the KJ supporters show up actually, because they're always saying the exact same things. They say that KJ has so many supporters and watchers that you need to shut up because you're a smaller channel, so that doesn't give you any right to talk about her. Then they go after personal appearance. I always hear them say, your hair is awful, blah, 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 and go off on that. And occasionally they'll come in here like this girl did and say, you shouldn't be talking about her. We got to like content, blah, blah, blah. They obviously haven't seen the all-seeing forehead. That's right. I think that's another name for her. You know, you obviously haven't seen my Costa Rican content, my Nigerian romance scammers content, which is funny as hell. This last time I started pretending I was Judy Gemstone and answering the guy like that. You haven't seen my Nigerian scam baiting. You haven't seen my Sunday religious ones. You haven't seen any of that clearly. And the First Amendment gives people the right to talk about her or anything else they want to talk about, just like her. Exactly. Yeah, Lauren, she did say that. I remember. And every time I think, I don't want to talk about this crazy woman any longer, she does something more and more over the top, and I find myself talking about her. So I decided I just I'm going to do what I want, whether she likes it or not. And on a day like today, where I'm having to wash 10,000 towels because I have guests that don't understand that you don't use a new towel for every single little tiny thing, and I'm having to go wash again and again. Every time you try to get out, she sucks you back in. Exactly, Java Man. You know, for a long time, I was keeping track of her daily crazy behaviors towards writing a book. And it was such a huge file on my computer, I finally just gave up because it was too taxing and draining on my psyche to do so. Bad case of the flu that doesn't go away. Luca fight. That was pretty funny and pretty weird. So that's all I'm going to say about KJ today. You know, I would love if she were to make changes and say, hey, yeah, I'm going to do things differently now. I'm going to research everything. I'm not going to paint everybody with the CULT brush. any of that. And I'm still butthurt about her stealing my church story of me leaving my church. I'm upset with all the times she took my content from Pathos and used it for YouTube. She used to be entertaining, but it's got scary the last year. Amy, I gotta agree with that. It's really weird because when she first started doing YouTube, she looked and acted and sounded completely differently. And I think if she had probably just stuck to talking about reality TV and being like she was, and instead of doing 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 hours a day on Instagram and everything else, her life would be a lot better. She'd be happier, very much happier. So I did manage to get everything scrubbed. My guest house air conditioner died. So my husband's cousins are staying in the house. It's a little bit of a tight fit. And one of them, I feel bad for. I said, I'm sorry, but the mattress in here is foam rubber. I think I need to buy a mattress for the bed. Jan, we weren't best friends. We knew each other because of work. We did talk quite a bit, and I was friendly with her at first, especially because she was dealing with a kid with long-term medical issues. And I've been there and done that and got the t-shirt. I've got a kid like that too, but my kid is 30 now, and it's a hard road. It's a hard road to walk, especially without friends. I don't think she has. Rose, yeah, she has stolen so many stories. And so that's why I talk about her. She stole so much content from me. Can't wait to see the circus she makes out of Josh's sentencing. OnlyFans. Oh my gosh. That would be, I don't know what that would be. I don't know. I thought it was bad enough when Tracy from Love After Lockup had an OnlyFans. Seems to be the go-to after lockup for a lot of these people. So does Lacey. So does Nicole. So many of them, they open that after they get a little fame. And so it just makes me laugh. It would be traumatic. Yes, it would be traumatic. Dirty Uncle Sal. I don't know where she would go from there. Like I said, a very specific fetish. And yeah, Kala, if I don't know if there's anybody out there that hits that kind of fetish, but I think there probably might be, because one of the things that I've learned in the years I've been on the internet, 20 plus, I've learned that, oh, wait a minute, that would be 92 to now would be 30 years. There is porn for everything. I mean, I don't care how weird your fetish is, there is porn. When you got no other skills, you go to McDonald's. People who are really into it seem very unstable to me. I'm trying to put that gently to Sarah. I have noticed that. Oh, just another troll. I got the biggest laugh out of that. What's the funniest thing I've ever seen and the most disgusting? The most disgusting. No to OnlyFans. Absolutely not. Absolutely. So I'm gonna go. I've got 10 trillion towels I need to fold. The guest house, I gotta wait. I gotta talk again to the air conditioner guy because he said he can't come out until next Friday. I need him to come out now so I can move my guests to the guest house so they'll be more comfortable, because it's pretty comfortable in here. But sleeping on a foam bolster is kind of like being in prison where they give you a little foam bolster to put on top of the steel for the one lady. And she's in my sewing room right now sleeping. The mental picture, I am dead. Yep. So there is that. Between the 10,000 towels used and everything else. Oh, today, let me see. Let me grab my thermometer. It is 93 degrees outside and it's only 11 o'clock. It's going to clock over 100. Close to 100, I'm sure. They're out on the beach this morning doing the most gringo thing ever. I always call it turn the gringo red because I don't get red anymore. But a lot of people who come here, my husband will tell you, we drive along, I'm sitting in the car pointing at all the red people. I'm doing the gringo countdown as how many people I see that are beat red, beat red. And when you get beat red on day one, it makes everything else kind of problematic. I'm hoping they have big sunscreen, but I don't know. Sarah, I love living here too. There's no seasons. This is it. Yeah, she makes my skin crawl too. How, why did they? Okay. So, yeah, I got to go mop the kitchen and do the dishes from breakfast, as well as fold 10 trillion towels. So that is my KJ rant. You guys are hearing it this morning. K Tippets, I'm sorry you're pissed off, but I've seen your name around KJ before, so that's not happened. She got a little off hedge, if you ask me. Used to watch her, but stopped. Yeah, she did. Well, she leaves the house for Botox, which makes me laugh again because here you get Botox for $2 a shot. But most of the time, it's places like really shacky looking places with their sign outside saying Botox or whatever. And you can get plastic surgery here really cheaply, but I'm not going to do that. I like my wrinkles. I earned my gray hair. Got to go groom myself. I'm groomed for the day. I got to go mop. Ugh. Okay, you guys, I'll see you later. I'm going to go ahead and go. I'm going to post a video about Costa Rica because I need to rant a little bit about something. Lip fillers, yeah, that's the other good thing she does.